Hey there, YouTube world. Matt Schwartz here, the Welding Geek, and in this episode, I'm making this stuff right here. We got the hip plates, the hand plates, the butt plate, and the back plate. So, if you want to see how I went about fabricating that stuff, stay tuned to the video. Okay, the first thing we got up here are the hip plates. I'm going to go ahead and trim out my templates, get them bonded onto my sheet of aluminum, going 050 3003 this time. And I'm going to go ahead and get these glued down, squeegee on, and get them trimmed out via the shear and the bandsaw. Now that I have my pieces trimmed out, I'm going to go ahead and clean up the edges here with my angle head die grinder with my Scotch-Brite wheel and just deburr everything, make sure there's no sharp edges and nice radiused corners. Next up, we're going to roll some beads in here for those little inset features that are on the hip plates. I've got these marked out on my templates and I'm just going to roll a bead on those to give us that feature. I'm doing this before I roll it because when you roll it into a curve, the edges of those dies will dig into the material and you don't want that. Now I'm going to use the slip roll here just to give it a slight curve. It being 050 3003, you could actually do this by hand. You don't need a slip roll to do this, but this just gives it a nice gradual curve. Now that I have my desired curve, I'm going to go ahead and use this tool here to roll a slight radius on the edges, and this will give it the look of a thicker material and make it look more fancy. This tool here just has a top and a bottom die in a certain radius, and as you push it through and roll it, it puts a slight radius on all the edges. Some of the edges I couldn't reach, so I'm going to go ahead and use a hammer and a dolly setup here just to get the radius all the way around the edges. Now that I have my radiuses all the way around the edges, I'm just using this dolly here and pushing down to the final form this hip plate and get it in the desired shape that I'm wanting. Now that I have the hip plates in the desired shape that I'm wanting, I need to figure out a way to mount these, and what I decided to do is put a couple 3/16 holes in the top, and I'm just going to put a PEM stud in each one here after I get these foamed out. And what I mean by foaming them out is I'm just going to use some of this 1/4" foam here and glue that onto the back to give it that depth that I want, that thickness that I'm looking for, to make it look like a big sturdy plate like it does in the show. So I'm just using my high strength 3M90 spray, and I'm going to back these, trim them with the razor blade, and then grind the edges nice and flat with the angle head grinder. Now that I have the foam mold dressed down, I'm going to go ahead and drill out my 3/16 holes through the foam and press in my PEM studs for mounting. Alright, now that the hip plates are done, I'm going to move on to my hand plates. I'm going to go ahead, I've already got my templates glued down onto the aluminum. I'm going to go ahead and punch some holes here in the center that you will see what are used for here in a minute. Now that I have these holes in here, I'm going to make my way over to the apron brake and bend these into the desired shape using these bend lines on my template. Now that they're bent in the desired shape, I've sheared out the triangle and a rectangle piece to represent that triangle and rectangle piece on the hand plate. And I'm going to go ahead and the hole that I put in there is to actually weld on the triangle piece. So I'm going to weld on the triangle piece with my TIG welder. I'm using 4043 rod, my 16th inch tungsten, my number 7 gas cup, and I'm just going to go ahead and weld these on, tack them up, and then dress them down. Once again, I'm using my angle head sander with a 80 grit pad. I'm just going to grind off all the weld distortion and the weld on the weld seams to make them look smooth and like one cohesive piece, just like I've done in the past. There are some line features on the actual hand plates in the costume. I'm not able to reproduce that, so hopefully these will still look cool without them. Now that I'm done with the hand plates, time for the back plate. I've already sheared out my pieces here. I'm going to make my way over to the slip roller. I've got my mounting holes already in them. I'll go ahead and slip roll these into shape. So yeah, there are no clear pics of this back plate anywhere. I've watched the show a bunch, and in the fight scene between Cara Dune and the Mandalorian, you can actually see it somewhat well, so that's what I'm basing it off of. So hopefully it's close enough. You probably won't really see it when I'm walking around with the big cape, but hey, I still want it to be there. Once again, I'm going to roll a radius on all these edges just to make it look like it's a little thicker than what it actually is. my little 1032 PEM studs, press them in for mounting purposes. Here's some close-up shots of the finished product. I know you see that little butt plate on the top there. I actually ditched that one for the new one after I got some better views of the butt plate. So I added that here in the back plate part of this video as well. Alright, and that's the hips, back plate, butt plate, hand plate video. It's a quick video, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'm almost done with the metal parts. I've got the shin plates, the gauntlets, and the guns or the blasters left to do on this build yet. The next video coming up will actually be some soft parts. I'm going to do the flak vest and mount the back plate and the front plate to the vest. So you'll see how I went about doing that. One thing I didn't show on the video is actually have some Velcro here on the back plate, and this stuff will come into play when I mount that on the vest, and you'll see why I did that and how that's all gonna come together. So if you guys are enjoying my videos, please subscribe, like the videos, comment. If you got any questions, I'll try to get those answered. And I'm planning on building this whole kit. It's coming along really well so far, so I'm excited. So if you want to come along with me for the ride, please do. Thanks again, guys. My name is Matt Schwartz, and I'm the Welding Geek.